This episode of Baby, This is Keke Palmer is sponsored by the good old folks over at Airbnb. Because some trips are better in an Airbnb. All right, y'all, let's get into it.
He's like, Mom, what you doing today? Come with me here. Let's do this. Like, he still wants me around. And that means there's a lot of kids that don't want to hang out with them.
Well, also, you're a fine as hell ass mama. Like, let's be clear on that.
If I give you too much, then I'm opening myself up to too much opinions, too much criticism, too much this. And we deal with that every day. It doesn't matter what we do. 100 people gonna like it, 100 people gonna hate it. This is not the one. He is not giving me the vibes like he's really effing with you like that. It's all about the delivery. I'm saying the same thing you said. I just kind of softened it up a little bit.
Exactly. You made it feel like, okay, let's move on. All right, Sharon. So today we are talking about the difference between networking and friendship. And I want to start at the baseline with you because I remember when we first moved to California, fresh out of Robbins, Illinois, it was all about networking.
Yes.
You know, all these actor moms would be like, you need to network. And we need to network. So let's talk about your concept of networking from the first time you heard that word.
Well, I guess from the first time I heard the word networking, I assume what everybody assumes is that it's about relationships, that you have to, meet people in the industry in order to get ahead. But, the more that I started listening to like what other parents thought networking was, most of them thought networking was just going to parties. Just like, so-and-so is having a party. And so they would go to the party. Or red carpets.
I think the first time that I heard networking, I really had an adverse reaction to it. Because I just feel like it was always so fake to me. Like, what does it mean to create a friendship on the basis of, I want to work with you?
Right.
That always just felt like, I don't know, and I think I've always had such a hard time trying to differentiate between my work life and my personal life.
Right.
That working with friends, it seemed really kind of spooky.
Right. Well, as a child, I would imagine you can't really have the discerning power at that point to decide who is really trying to be your friend and who is just trying to get next to you so they can get your relationships or find out what the next audition is or, what the next situation is.
Yeah, and who maybe wants to do both, right?
Right.
I think as I've gotten older, I realize that there is something that feels good about working with a friend when y'all have the same interests. For instance, like Lenora, my best friend, Lenora Addison. I worked with her during my time with Awesomeness TV. They're kind of like a brand inside of YouTube where they were, partnering with different talent and producing their content.
Right.
So she was pretty much like my product manager. She would help us produce stuff.
Right.
And I remember the first time when
you met her in a working situation.
I met her in a working environment.
Right.
And I remember when she's like, I'd love to take you out to dinner, now that you're working with Awesomeness TV. I'm like, okay, cool. And it was the first time that I was like, wow, like, I actually like her as a person. I had never I think I was maybe like 22, 23. And so, I was coming out of being a kid, you know what I mean, and into my adulthood. And it was like, I was like, oh, wow, this is the first time that I'm actually really close to the same age as somebody that I'm working with.
Right.
I'm no longer the kid in the room. And she's actually a fun person.
Right.
Like, I actually really...
From the Midwest.
I really liked her. And then for years, we, after Awesomeness TV, when I moved on and when she moved on, we remained friends.
Right.
And then became best friends. And then eventually, I said, hey, I got an idea for Key TV. Do you think you want to do it with me? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And so what that relationship taught me and what it showed me was, I think that's a natural version of networking. Like, obviously, when Lenora asked me out, she was like, hey, we're working together. Let's hang out. Let's see how we vibe out.
Right.
And then over time, we really had a genuine friendship, and we both had such a love and passion for entertainment that it only made it right that we worked together.
Right.
And I feel like when networking happens like that, when you're seeking a friendship on the basis of, hey, I respect you, I like what you're doing, and then a true friendship blossoms, it's like, okay, then it is what it is.
Right. And prior to that situation, what had your experience been with friends, people that you met on a friendship basis? Did you feel it was genuine? Did you ever feel that you had a genuine friend, or would you always thought they had motives?
I don't know if it was them or if it was me. You know what I mean? Because is it really that bad for your friend to say, hey, let's do something together? How do you know?
Well, you mean let's do something in the business together?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you know? I think sometimes I've made a friendship with someone and they be like, hey, I'm doing something like this. Like, would you be interested in doing it? And I immediately never talk to them again. I just would never call them back. You know what I mean? I think I did that a lot.
Well,
I would hang with people. I think maybe they did it too soon.
Yeah, that's what I say.
You know, maybe there should have been some more time, but like I remember I was hanging out with this one girl. I loved her. I thought she was so cool.
Right.
And then like the next following week, what do you think about this lip gloss line? I think maybe you could be a cool face for it. Girl, you need to have the budget for this. You know, I don't mean to throw that shade, but I was just thinking to myself, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, I'm going
spooked.
through something like that right now. You know, I have people that's sending me things, sending me product, you know, because now everyone is an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone is an entrepreneur. And I have a lot
Which
of...
is great, by the way. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good and bad. And like, I have a friend who is not really my friend. She's more friends with your dad. And I mean, you know, we've seen this person sparingly over the years.
Cool.
So it's not like we're close. But she literally sent me, you know how you could go to like Walgreens or whatever and get the little plastic vials? Like if you're traveling, you could put your shampoo in the little bottles or whatever like that. She literally sent me stuff that she said was for vagina wash in those little bottles. And she said the wash will clean your vagina, clean all around your vagina, and you will have no smells. And when I saw the bottle, I was like, I'm not trying this in this bottle that you got from Walgreens. Like, any vagina juice, oil, or whatever, it got to be packaged a lot better for me to try it.
Sure.
And so I didn't know how to tell your father that. I was like, you better tell your friend she need to package this vagina oil.
Oil.
I mean, just think about it though. Packaging is really important with this product. You know what I mean? So, I mean, with all products.
No,
really.
seriously, but especially vagina. Come on.
Yeah. And I don't want to belittle what she's doing because, you know, she's retired. She wants to be an entrepreneur. She's been bitten by the millennial bug. You know, that's my generation. We get bitten and all of a sudden we want to act like we millennials, but it go to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And they take their little retirement money and they buy vagina oil juice. And it's and it's nothing wrong with it. But I told your father, I said, I'm sorry, but we gonna have to come real hard with her and tell her I can't even try this.
Wow.
Because the packaging
but
is
Larry
not
is
there.
real on that. Larry is good on that. Larry loves a collaboration. Okay, he is so community driven. He's trying to hook up everybody. I remember when y'all tried to get somebody to fix y'all pipes, he hired Joe down the street. And it was like, he only had a company. So I love that about that.
Your father is very much for the community.
He is.
And again, just to be serious, I mean, she did. It was supposed to be stuff to make your, you know, private smell good and all this stuff. But to put professionalism, this is a professional woman.
Yeah.
She's worked. She retired from her job. She's investing in this. And like I said, I feel the millennial entrepreneuring spirit. Mm-hmm. But the packaging wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's what we told her.
And Dad was right to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that's important when it comes to friendships, networking, working with friends, however you want to call it, is truly being honest. And that's straight up. Because I've had a situation with another friend of mine where they wanted to do something with shirts. And I just felt like the whole process was too much. And I just kind of was like, it's too uncomfortable as friends to have to deal with this and to have to say that. And I wish that maybe I could have been a little bit more clear as to why I didn't want to continue the business. Because I think that makes it difficult. When people want to work with you, people like what you're doing, and they want to see an opportunity where they can collab with you and get, and you know, they see you doing business. You got to be honest when it's like, hey, I can't do business with this.
Well, especially in the entertainment industry, people see that you are successful or what they perceive as successful. Then they want to pick your brain. Mm-hmm. But they want to live in your head for free, you know? Okay. And not only that, but they want to keep asking you questions. And I'll give them the advice that Brandy's mother gave me, Miss Norwood, when you first got in the business, and I used to talk to her, and I'd say, well, what would you do here? And what would you do? And she would listen, and she would go, well, you wouldn't do what I did because you're not in the situation that I was in. So I really can't give you blow by blow, play by play, because I know that you would not have done some of the things that I've had to do.
What the hell was Sonya doing?
I was curious, you know, but she didn't go there. But then she gave me great advice, and she said, look, I'm going to give you the best advice that I can give you. Get a good lawyer.
How important do you think networking is to making it in this industry?
I think it's very important.
Really?
I think it's very important. I think this is what keeps the business going is relationships.
Really?
Yeah, I think when you can pick up the phone and talk to Tyler Perry, you can make a lot of stuff happen.
Sure.
I think when you can pick up
You
the
ain't
phone...
had to let them know my uncle was Tyler. You ain't had to
I think when you can pick up the phone and call certain heads of certain studios and pitch them ideas and they value what you're saying, I think that's a very good position to be in. And I think that it all comes from networking because in this industry, people move around, right? So the person that was running this studio now is running another studio. And this person here, it's like musical chairs, especially in the beginning of the year. People are at different companies when they were, and the more people that you know, the more relationships that you have, the more opportunities that you have to pitch ideas and to work. So I think networking is absolutely crucial in the entertainment industry.
I agree with Sharon. I'm going to piggyback off of that where don't let it confuse you that networking means having to go to every party.
No.
Having to schmooze everybody that you meet, that you want. Networking is showing up to the job and doing good.
Yes.
Networking is also just that. Networking is just doing the work and people saying, I appreciate you. And then you seeing them on the next job or being able to pitch them something months later that you might have an idea that they think they might like. You can network just solely on the basis of business. It doesn't have to be all this like, you know what I mean? Let's go to a swingers convention. It don't have to be all that.
No, but it definitely is about you being professional and handling your business because you just did a brand deal a couple of weeks ago and the people on the set knew us from another job.
That's right.
And they had nothing but praise for us from the other job. That's awesome. That's networking as well.
That's what I'm saying.
For
just
you
doing
to
a good
deliver,
job.
be professional, be on time, do what you need to do. That's part of the Keke Palmer brand as well.
1,000.
And it really upsets both of us. If we can't do something or we're perceived to not be professional or whatever, that irks me. And I've called and they made several calls of several people when I said, wait a minute, let me explain this.
Yeah.
This is the why we are not doing this. Or
That's
this is why, because that's not who we are. We're blue collar, Chicago, do or die, show up on time, sick, leg, ankles broken, sprained. I've showed up at jobs with broken ankles.
Remember when you had that brown recluse that tried to take your life?
Yeah, I've been in the hospital with poisonous spiders.
That motherfucker tried to take your leg.
And still find out how to go to work.
Big Mama, I ain't cutting off my leg. And that's that.
You was wrong for that.
We couldn't believe it. Remember we was crying and everything. Them brown recluses ain't nothing.
And then what did Sam Jackson say? When you did some movies with Sam Jackson and I had got bitten by a spider and then I broke my ankle. He's like, what's up with your mama?
We was going through a lot.
We was going through a lot. But I guess the point is we was showing up.
That's right.
And that's part of networking as well. Okay. You don't want people, you can't control what everybody says about you, nor should you try, but you should realize.
Do what you can when you can. That's it.
And you're only as good as your work.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let me get over this with Lala because I feel like she knows a lot about this. You're awesome, Mom. Thanks always.
Likewise.
The streets call me Keke Keep a Bag Palmer for good reason. Your girl is busy, okay? Producing this amazing podcast, writing my second memoir, running my own production company on top of acting, singing, dancing, and hosting. I'm working hard, but I need to play hard too. And for me, these days, playing honestly means resting. Yeah. And that's where Airbnb comes in, because there is nothing better than sending the group chat a quick weekend trip message, then immediately pulling up Airbnb's guest favorites to see what's highly rated, close by, and available ASAP for a quick girls-only weekend getaway. Baby, when I tell you we found the cutest little cabin in Joshua Tree outside LA, it was like our own private oasis. Y'all know I don't mind roughing it now and then, but my girlfriends do not share my rough and tumble proclivities. So glamping it is. Luckily, we got luxurious 5-star accommodations while still unplugging in nature to let our edges breathe. Yes, I said edges. Thank you, Airbnb. The best part was having our own kitchen to whip up some snacks and cocktails. No more cramming into a tiny hotel room, having to drink out of a paper coffee cup and serving, I don't know, just not fabulousness, especially with the overpriced minibar options. In our Airbnb, we could truly let our hair down and make some memories. Listen, I'm trying to put y'all on game. Some trips are seriously better in an Airbnb. So the next time you need a girls trip or a staycation, check out the guest favorites on Airbnb first. If there's one thing I love, it's a good, scary story that gets your imagination running wild. And Audible has them in spades. Let me tell you, the audiobook I'm listening to is a straight-up thrilling ride. It's called The Haunted by Bentley Little. And this thing is not for the faint of heart, okay? It's officially spooky season, so why not listen to this horror novel by an author my sister was raving about? So The Haunted follows a family who moves into a house, right? A new house. And of course, this place is crawling with some serious supernatural activity. Strange noises, creepy visions, and all kind of unsettling stuff. And the more they try to get to the bottom of it, the deeper they get pulled into the twisted, terrifying mystery. See, the beauty of listening to a book like this on Audible is that the experience is wild and immersive. It's like the words are just seeping into your brain, making every hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. You're going to be picturing every last chilling detail, and you'll get spooked right alongside the characters. The suspense is going to have you on the edge of your seat, heart pounding, palm sweating, just perfect for this time of year. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's fall, I'm busy, I don't have time to listen to a whole audiobook, but that's when being an Audible member comes in clutch, besties, okay? As a member, you get to choose one title a month to keep forever in your library. And remember, Audible is made for your busy schedule, so you can listen at your own pace, whether you're commuting, working out, or just trying to escape the demons in your own home. Ooh. Just hit play on the Audible app. Thanks to Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Keke or text KEKE to 500-500. That's audible.com/KEKE or text KEKE to 500-500.
Baby, this is Keke.
Today's guest is someone who has truly become a force in the entertainment industry, not just for her iconic roles on TV, but for also her incredible business sensibility and unwavering authenticity. You might know her from all the way back to MTV and VH1 days, films like Two Could Play That Game or You Got Served, or from the reality series Lala's Full Court Wedding and Lala's Full Court Life. She's also authored 2 amazing books, The Love Playbook and The Power Playbook. Please welcome to the show my longtime friend, Lala Anthony. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Girl, I mean, I feel like you're always busy, but it's like right now I feel like you're on every show that I turn to. I mean, you just wrapped up doing...
First of all, no one's busier than you, because I don't know how you do all of these things and look fabulous and post and the baby and this show and the podcast. You are doing it all. So, you know, if we put our minds to it, we're going to get it done.
We are absolutely going to... Wait a minute, what sign are you? I can't believe I don't know.
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, you're one of my matches. I'm a Virgo.
Yeah.
Virgo, Cancer, we go together.
Yes, we go together.
So how's everything been going? Because you just wrapped up BMF. Like, tell me what your life is like right now. You said you were in Chicago doing The Chi. Like, what's the tea?
So I just been working a lot. BMF have been filming since February, so I was back and forth between New York and Atlanta. And BMF is an incredible show. You know a lot of people on BMF.
Yes.
We always have fun. We do great work there. And then during BMF, I'm also shooting The Chi. So I'm like between New York, Atlanta, Chicago, kind of going back and forth. So we're still shooting season 7 right now of The Chi in Chicago. I just got back yesterday, so I'm in Chicago a lot. But Chicago in the summer is a vibe. Like Chicago in the summertime is a vibe.
Yeah, the last time that I was in Chicago, I was actually kicking it with Jacob Lattimore, who's on that show.
Exactly.
And he took me everywhere. Like, I'm like, man, I'm the one that's from Chicago. How you showing me more of Chicago? Like, I mean, he had it lit when we was out there. So I already know y'all having a good time.
He got it all laid out yesterday or the day before and said, he's like, when you rap, we get on the boat, meet me at the dock. We're doing this, we're doing that. Like, Jacob got it all laid out over there.
I love that. I love that you're having such a good time. I think one of the things that people love about you the most that we've been able to see more of since social media is how connected you are and how many friends you have in the industry. Like, obviously, you wrote a book, The Love Playbook, The Power Playbook. I'm curious of just your ability to network, but also remain authentic, right? Because I think when we hear this word networking, it can feel kind of like, okay, so you're just creating friendships with people so you could do business with them. But there's obviously something that is just real about, hey, let me collaborate with my friends. So I want to just know, like, your relationship with networking, right? And how you have come up on these relationships where you actually can be genuinely friends, but work together.
Yeah, so I think that that's a Cancer trait. That's the Cancer in me. We are kind, giving, loving people naturally, like have a lot of friends and stuff. But for me, I think, it's about, you kind of said it, like being your genuine self. And we all work in a business or live in a world where there's a lot of fake things happening and everyone's about clout and who's doing what. And there's no real genuine connection.
Yeah.
So you show up as your authentic self, people gravitate to that because that's not something they see all the time. Everybody's trying to pretend to be something they're not. Everybody's trying to outdo the next person. For me, I just show up as me, and it's kind of like either you take it or you don't, and people have gravitated to that. So that's why sometimes I think it's funny because people like, you have so many friends in the industry and this and that, and sometimes it's said as like a negative thing, like, oh, you know everybody, you're friends with everybody. And it's like, it takes a lot to be friends to so many people, to keep so many secrets, to be trusted by so many people and never have had like an issue or anything like that. It just speaks to, who I feel like I am at the core. I'm always about like helping and wanting to be there for the people I care about. And it just kind of, flows for me. And when it comes to working, like sometimes it can get difficult when you want to work with your friends. Like that's something I would always tell people, make sure you really think that through, because you never know, if it could ruin the friendship or anything like that. But again, it's the same kind of thing. When you show up as your real self, when you set your boundaries, like this is how it's going to be, this is how I want it to go, you're setting yourself up for more success than failure, as long as you're like open and honest from the beginning. And that's in relationships. That's not just in friends. That's in anything. You know what I mean? That's in anything that's going on in your life. You have to be open, communicate, set your boundaries, not be afraid to say what you want and what you need, and move from there.
And I think there's also something good and cool to say about like being able to be friends that you could collaborate with that are also doing their thing, because I think that was something in my life that sometimes I shied away from because I was so busy trying to, separate my life from entertainment. Like, oh, I don't, I want to just have, this is my life, it's grounded. I don't be around with people that's in the industry. And then I go into the industry, I do my work and I go home. But as I got older and started being kind of more of the same age as the people that I was working with, I really started to see how good it feels to connect to people that understand what I'm going through. So I'm curious for you, how do you balance it? Because at the end of the day, sometimes the Hollywood industry and just always being around that can be a lot. But it seems like you've created this space within your friendships where even though y'all know what each other are going through from a Hollywood level, y'all also are able to kind of suck that out and just kind of exist outside of it. Like, what is the balance of that?
It's so true. So I think honestly, for me personally, some of the balance is that I don't live in LA. I live in New York. So I'm able to like come to LA, pop in, see what's going on, make sure everybody's good, but then I can leave. And in New York, to me, I live a very quote unquote normal lifestyle.
I love New York. I couldn't agree with you more. New York is the realest place ever.
Yeah, I'm from New York. I grew up in Brooklyn. I still live in Brooklyn right now. So it's like I'm still home, where I was born, where I'm at. So that just keeps me humble and grounded. And then I go do the LA thing, whatever that is. And then I come back to my home and my space. And I think that's what helps me. But I also think like with my friends and doing work together and not getting caught up in all the other stuff, it's just like knowing each other. Like you said, you finally felt like you were around people that got you, that understood you, that didn't judge you. Like we have group chats for that. We have, texting for that, where we could just show up as ourselves and feel like we're not being judged, or, hey, I'm having a effed up day. Like this is what's going on. And we can give each other advice and kind of just move from there.
I love that. And maybe you talk about this a little bit in the Power Playbook, but what are some tips to the young professionals out there that are trying to figure out how to quote unquote network, but in a real way where they just want to meet other like-minded people like themselves? And yes, start a friendship on a genuine basis, but say like, hey, like I would like to really like work with you. How do you start that connection, with those that you admire, your peers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just about, again, being honest, being truthful. Like, I'm a fan of you. Like, I'm your friend, but I'm a fan of you. Like, I wanna work with you. I wanna learn, like, how did you do this? How did you do that? And real friends want to see each other succeed. I get so much joy from seeing my friends, do well, whether it's the celebrity Hollywood friends or just my friends that I grew up with. Like, I get so much joy in seeing them, achieve their dreams and what they want to do. So real friends want each other to win and want each other to be successful. And I get joy out of that. So it's like, if I'm in a position where you could call me about something and I could help you out or vice versa, like I want to do that. I feel good about doing that. And I think you can't be afraid to ask. A lot of times we're just afraid to say it or afraid to ask. What's the worst thing that could happen? And be like, no, I'm not going to help you. Okay. I've been dealing with no's my whole life. I'm going to find somebody that will. Like, it's just what it is.
I think there's also a lot of humility in what you're saying too, where it's no ego, and everybody can love and respect that, because that makes people feel safe when it's like, yo, I'm just being straight up and being real. But again, that's some of that New York vibe, which is why I love New York. And to your point, like about connecting and collabing with friends, I mean, we just seen it come out the other day, I think it was, about Kim getting some big production deal, and then next thing you know, the second thing was a show, you know, starring Lala Anthony. And I'm like, that's so dope. Again, it's friends working with each other. How did that come about? Was it just like something that you, an idea that you had, a show idea you already had, or like what was the conception of that?
So basically, like we always talked about doing something together, like the whole, what we're talking about, you know, collaborating with friends. So she got this Hulu deal, and it's like, hey, let's fill one of those spots with a project that we've been talking about forever. It's based on the Love Playbook, but it's really based on our group chat and like things we talk about in the group chat. Everyone wants to know what goes on I want to know what's going on in your group chats. Like everybody wants to. So it's about the group chat and like the conversations, that the real unfiltered conversations that happen in a group chat. And it was like, why not? Let's do it. And we made it happen. But again, it's friends supporting friends and me recognizing, hey, you got this overall deal. Now's our chance to do it. Let's do it. And not being afraid to say that. If I didn't say that, who knows if it would have happened? You got to speak up. Like, hey, I got a project. Like, let's do this together. And it all worked out. And it's something that, you know, I'm super excited about. I could tell people are excited about it. I think it's going to deal with a lot of topics that, you know, are relevant, things that women go through, whether you were married, divorced, dating, had a baby, whatever it is, there's something for everybody in a show like this. So we're really excited for it.
I'm excited too, and I've also loved to just see how your career in acting has continued to blossom. Obviously, you've been acting for a long time, like even since, you know, you were doing VH1 and MTV and being a voice jockey and everything. We've seen your whole career. Like I've seen it all my life. I've always known you, Lala, you know what I mean? And so it's awesome just to see how that acting has continued. But I want to talk about the beginning of your career. You know, did you always want to go into communications and journalism? Was that something that you fell into, you know what I mean? Or, you know, did you always see yourself kind of having this, you know, 360 career?
So I definitely fell into it. Like I loved music. It was all about music. I was a tomboy growing up. I loved hip hop. I wanted to be around music. So I started interning at a radio station with Ludacris at that time as a teenager, just because I love music. I'm like, it's the radio.
Oh
this is where you hear the music.
I have to stop that really quick, because obviously when I first met you, it was with Luda and Shaka. Y'all, like Shaka has been with Luda since the beginning. Luda, obviously we know him. I didn't even realize that Luda started out doing radio, which is obviously, it makes sense for his voice. I had no idea that y'all met back then. That's crazy.
So that's how we met. I was 16 years old and Shaka gave me an internship. So I've known Shaka since I was 16. I was interning for him, and that's how it all kind of started. But I just love music. I didn't have a plan. I didn't come from like, you know, a family that knew anything about entertainment business or Hollywood. I was just like going with the flow. And then from there, I got on the radio in LA, and then from there, MTV. And that's kind of how it started. But when I was on MTV, I kept thinking like, well, what happens after MTV? Because you used to always hear like, you know, MTV is the gift and the curse. Like once you're on MTV, like nothing happens to people after that. Or, you know, there's so many people on MTV that you're like, oh, well, where are they now? And I was like, I'm not going to be a where are they now? Like, I'm going to figure this out. And so I thought like, okay, I'm comfortable with cameras. I'm comfortable in front of the camera. What's the next thing? It's acting. So I really like dug in and took like acting, still go to acting class, still work with my acting coach. That doesn't, you know, that's not something that you ever stop or you ever master, but still work really hard at it, because that wasn't like a natural thing for me. I didn't come into it as an actor or do it, you know, since I was really young or anything like that. So I had to work at it and really, really understand what it meant to be an actor. And I still do that. And, you know, in the beginning it was incredibly difficult, because it's like, oh, that's the girl from MTV. That's Lala from MTV. It wasn't like people were trying to give you a shot at it, but I worked really, really hard and then made some real significant, you know, strides in my acting career, from Power to BMF to The Shy to all the things I'm able to do. And it just proves like, you know, when you work really hard at something and you believe in yourself, you can make it happen. Because nobody told me acting was a good idea. They're like, you're a great host, just do that. And I'm like, I am a great host, but I want to do something else as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's interesting, too, what you're saying about, I'm still stuck on the whole Shaka thing, because even in my relationship with Shaka, like, he's somebody that has looked out for me. Like, there were jobs and things that were going on where he's like, oh, yeah, we're doing something with, Adidas or whatever, and do you want to come by? I think there might be a play here for you. And so, and it's the same thing for me. I always say with acting with myself, like, okay, yeah, I think I'm a good actress, but I also think I show up and people know that they can count on me. So I'm curious in your working in the industry, what are some of those things that you feel like that stand out that people want to keep working with you? Where people are like, yo, let me call Lala.
Well, one, you're not a good actress. You're a great actress. You're one of the best I've ever seen. So I just want to start there. And people can learn a lot from watching you. Like, you are incredible, and your name comes up in every conversation when we're talking about who the top of the top, the cream of the crop is. So you are definitely up there. So I'm giving you your flowers because you deserve them. But yeah, for me, I think I'm a hard worker. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be organized. I'm going to be prepared. I don't play around with it. Like, I don't take it for granted. I don't go off the cuff or come and don't know my lines or don't know what's going on. Like, I come prepared and ready to work. And I think people admire that. I remember, Will Packer was one of the people that gave me my start and Think Like a Man. I love Will. And he was one of the first people to really see me and say, no, I'm going to give you a shot with the greats, the Tarajis, the Gabrielle Unions, the Reginas, the Megan Good, all of that. And he was like, I got you. But I remember him saying, like, you get to a point where you want to work with people you like. There's a lot of talented people in the world, but you want to work with people that you like, that are not like draining you every day. And that always stuck with me. And I always wanted to be somebody that people liked working with. So at the end of the day, if you hire me, it's a level of professionalism. I'm a team player. I'm always bringing, the spirits up on the cast, on the set and everything like that. You get that from me. And that goes a long way for people. So maybe I'm not the most talented out the entire group, but I'm bringing a lot of other things that, the total package becomes, a better asset for people.
But that's the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because professionalism is a skill. So that is a talent within itself. There's always going to be, if you want to compare all day, you can compare all day. But I'm so big on that, and that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I think people got to know that. Like, you know what I mean? It's about being on time. It's about being easy to work with. I'm not saying you got to have no morals and ethics. Have your boundaries and create your space at work. But understand that showing up on time and having a good vibe, that is important. People respect that.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm not the only Palmer addicted to listening on Audible. I've been a member for years, and my sister and the rest of my family have been converted as well. The beauty of Audible is that they've got the most incredible selection out there. Bestsellers, new releases, exclusive Audible originals, you name it, they've got it. And as a member, you get to choose one title a month to keep forever. So you can dive into all kinds of genres, discover new favorites, and get inspired anytime, anywhere. And whether you're listening to stories, motivational talks, expert advice, or any other genre you love on Audible, your mind will take flight. You can picture new worlds, fresh possibilities. I mean, it's like you're living and breathing it all. There's just something about listening that unlocks your imagination and allows you to expand your horizons. I mean, with Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. And you know what that means, right? Positive change, sis. Yes, listening on Audible can seriously boost your mood, tweak your habits, and level up your overall well-being. It's a total game changer. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Keke or text Keke to 500-500. That's audible.com/KEKE or text KEKE to 500-500. I want to talk a little bit about your books, the Love Playbook. What made you want to write that? We saw your relationship, obviously, with Camelo, and we see everything, So what made you say, okay, boom, I want to write this book and talk about love? Because that's a heavy step, personal, private, and...
Well, I need to rewrite it now because so much has changed in my life. So I probably need to rewrite it. But at that time, I was married. I got married, younger, and I felt like, okay, maybe I know a little bit about this like love thing and marriage thing and like, the do's and don'ts. But then you realize through life and experiences and different things you go through that that's just a thing you'll never have completely figured out. I don't think anyone has mastered love and relationships. And I think it'll be talked about till the ends of time. Like, do this, don't do this, or play the game this way, or play the game that way. And at the end, you just got to find what works for you and whoever you're dealing with, because there's no like universal rule that works for everyone when it comes to love. So at that time I was like, oh, I'm married, I have a kid, like I'm kind of cruising, I got this thing figured out. And then a whole curveball came my way, and now I'm not married, and now I'm co-parenting and living in that space and figuring that out. And that's a day-to-day, challenge and different things that come with that. But nobody goes into these relationships or marriages thinking that they're not going to work or that they're going to end. You go into them feeling confident. So when I wrote the book, I was feeling confident, like I got this. And then life happens and you realize, you got to be able to adjust and transition and stay strong and not get broken down and keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and I think it's so true what you're saying. And I feel like I've thought about this a lot myself with my own relationship experiences. I do feel like sometimes with marriage, and I've never been married, so I'm curious to hear what you'll say to this. But I feel like with marriage, there's a total different mindset that I see my married friends go into, where it's like you're no longer an individual. Like, obviously you're an individual, but everything y'all do, everything y'all speak about, everything y'all share is always prefaced with "in us." And who knows what's going on in people's marriages? We won't know because they've decided that, hey, whatever is best for us, we want to push that forward. But when you do see someone decide to be out of that us, I know for me, in my mind, it's made me think sometimes like, is that us for everybody? Like, or do you not want to be in us? Because to take on someone else and to make that story your story and to withhold and to protect that and to whatever it is, I'm curious for you, like, would you get married again? Or what was it like to live in that us and then to decide to want to go back to the me?
Yeah, wow, that's a great
You know what I mean? Because I wonder, sometimes I'm like, do I just want to be me? You know what I mean?
A great question. And I'm going to tell you, going from the us to the me is very difficult because sometimes a lot of us lose our identity in the us. And it's exactly what you said. It's all about the us or that other person, and you start losing yourself. And then when it's no longer us, you're like, oh shit, like I got to remember who I am. I got to remember what this feels like. And I also got to remember that I'm okay with being by myself, which is really difficult when you come from being with somebody, especially from a younger age for so long. It's kind of like all So it took a lot of work to go from the us to the me and choose me, because I always say it's easier. And you probably can relate to this. It's easier to stay in something. It's easier on some levels. Like, I just don't want to ruffle the feathers. I'll just deal with this. Even if I'm unhappy, I'll deal with it on my own. It's easier to just like, I'm used to this. This is what I know. Stepping away and going to the I is harder because it's starting completely over. It's starting from scratch. It's everything is new. It's rediscovering yourself and feeling like, can I do this on my own? So I always say, a lot of times leaving is harder, but hats off to everyone who's done it, and hats off to all the people that are in great marriages and happy. I admire that. Like, I look at that and go, that's a beautiful thing. Who wouldn't want to find their person and start a life and go through life's journeys and ups and downs with somebody? Like, I don't think any of us are meant to just be alone. I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, but companionship looks different for everybody.
And I think it's really a choice. Like, I really feel that way. Like what you just said, like how you want companionship to look. If you want to be an us, if you want to be a me, it doesn't matter if you're us or me, you could still have love. But how you exist in an us is totally different than how you exist in a me. And it matters to you what's most important. And I feel like for me, I always wonder that and don't know. I'm such an unconventional person in general.
Right.
But then I also have such a traditional aspect to me as well. So I'm always trying to figure out, what do I really like? What do I really want? And leaving that, individualism or that personal autonomy behind, that's tough. You know what I mean? But I do think it's a part of like partnership. So it's just interesting to think about.
I agree. And I think I just want to add one thing to that. I think the first thing that you can do, all of us can do, is like stop the comparing. Like, be happy for people in their relationship, but don't compare or say like, I wish I had that, or that looks so great, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's happening. And not saying everybody is in these messed up relationships. There are people out there that are incredibly happy. I know a lot of them, and I'm thrilled for them, and I learn from them, and I look at that and I say, okay, that's how you handle that. But also, it's not a comparison, because social media puts us in a place where we're always comparing and wanting and never feeling like we're good enough, or that's never going to happen for me, or I'm never going to be happy. You really got to do the work and dig inside yourself, and what's for you is for you, and don't compare with what you see. Because like you said, people are always going to show the shiny images, that they're always going to show that.
We all sticking to a bit. We're all sticking to some type of bit, whether we on our own or whether we with somebody. That's just the way it goes. And even if somebody is happy, that doesn't mean that would be your version. So the comparison does no one any good, because if you like guys that are tall and they happy with a short king, then that ain't what you want. You know what I mean? Whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about you and Kanye, your little bookie butt. Because, I got me a little bookie butt, and I cannot believe that I have a child. It's crazy to me. When I see you and him, I just think to myself all the time, like, damn, that would be crazy when I see Leo that age. Like, that's going to be nuts. I mean, he's towering over you. And so,
he's 6'4". It's crazy.
Girl, that's crazy. He's got that tat of you. I mean, what did you think when he had that? And if you're comfortable, I want to speak to a little bit of like y'all's relationship and how, what's y'all's vibe with you as a mom? Like, are you kind of like a sporty mom? Are you like a son? Like, let's do this together. Like, what's you guys' vibe?
Well, I think I'm a cool mom, but he also knows I'm his mom. Like, I'm cool, but we not playing those games. Yes, you're my best friend, and I love that we have that, but I will check you in a second and don't play with me. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's finding that balance. But because we're so close, he is my only child. There's a different bond. He's my only child. He's my only, son. So it's been him and I through this journey, and he's been with me through the ups and downs of, whatever happened with me and his dad, and what my life looks like now. Like, he's been there through it all. So that's why I say, he is my best friend. And sometimes you hear people say like, oh, your kid's not supposed to be your best friend. My son is my best friend. He lives with me. He sees the ups, down. He's around. I don't know anybody that I'm closer to. He's with me through all of my moments, but he also knows to respect and treat me as his mom. But I just love having a son, and the time goes so fast. You look up and you're like, how is this 17 years old already, just living his life? And I love to see, the young man he's become, and like the work I put into being the kind of mom I wanted to be. And now when you see it kind of all coming together in who he is as a young man and who he is as a person, that's like the greatest joy as a mom. I always say, like, when people compliment your child, like, he's humble, he's kind, he's well-mannered. I'll take that over any accolade, award, or anything anybody could give me for anything else.
I couldn't agree more. How has the transition been from obviously him being a little kid to him growing into a man? I mean, he's, like you said, 17. I mean, he might be trying to figure out what career path he wants to go on, how he wants to maybe do what his dad did, or maybe he doesn't want to do sports. I'm not sure. Or love and relationships. How has that been for you, kind of like navigating those new conversations with him,
I mean, I think it's just great when your child feels like they can come and talk to you about anything. I always tell them, like, there's nothing you can't talk to your mom about. I've been through it all. I'm always going to give you real advice. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to steer you in the wrong way. But when you start trying to just figure all this stuff out on your own, that's when it goes left. Like, you have to communicate, especially being a teenager in this world we live in, social media, meeting girls, whatever it is. Like, there's a lot that comes at a teenager these days, self-esteem issues, what you see on, these social media platforms. So I just think it's about having open communication with your child and checking in on them. Sometimes we get so caught up in our life and we're so busy and working that it's like, when's the last time you just sat down and asked your kid, like, what's going on with you, and really push them for more than, oh, I'm okay. Like, give me more. Like, let's talk. It's just so important. And I make sure, I do that with him all the time. And I make sure he feels like he can talk to me about anything. And I love that at 17, he still likes hanging out with me. He's like, Mom, what you doing today? Come with me here. Let's do this. Like, he still wants me around. And that means there's a lot of kids that don't want to hang out with them.
Well, also, you're a fine as hell ass mama. Like, let's be clear on that. So that, I mean, honestly, like, I'm sure all his little friends, girl, they probably is like, where's your mama at? Okay. So, I mean, I think
down his house like it's nobody's business. Yesterday, I had like 5 of them over here. I'm like 5 17-year-olds, all like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". It's crazy town.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so has he ever introduced you to a girl yet?
So he has not done that yet. We have conversations about girls, but he's not like, he has friends and he hangs out, but he doesn't have a girlfriend, and he's not like girl crazy or anything. He's really focused on basketball. He loves playing basketball. He loves school. And I just tell him, like, when it comes to dating at a younger age, and just be honest. Like, if you're dating, tell
That's right.
your female friends you're dating. Don't say you're committed to somebody if you're not. Don't hurt people's feelings. Like, when you're honest with people, then it's their choice if they want to be a part of it or not. But when you start with that lying and covering up and all that, that's when it goes bad. So I'm always telling him, like, just be honest. You're young. You're not supposed to be in like a super committed relationship. Just date and have fun. Like, that's what being 17, 18, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and like you said, it's really just the honesty. You can really do
just be
whatever, have
honest.
whatever you want. Just keep it real with people.
Yeah, and I always tell them, like, treat a young woman the way you would want someone to treat your mom. Like, if you need a measure
That's
of how it's
right.
supposed to be, how would you want somebody to treat me?
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of you being a cool mom and you being so fly, I feel like in every era you have always like just been on this higher level, like your fashion, your look, you know what I mean? You're always bomb. I'm just curious of like, how do you do it? You know what I mean? Has that just always been something you're into, or like when it comes to your brand, is that something you're thinking about, of like how you want to present yourself?
I think it's something I've always been into, but at the core, really, I'm genuinely like a tomboy. If I didn't have to do the whole dressing up, it's jeans, it's sweats, it's t-shirts. That's more of my vibe. I have a crazy sneaker collection. A lot of people don't even know
Okay.
that. That's more of who I am at the core. But I like looking nice. I like dressing up. I like taking my little pics. I like posting on the gram. Like, and I have my moments where then I don't want to be bothered with it. I might not post for like 2 weeks because I don't have nothing to post and I don't feel like doing the whole, shebang. And I'm okay with that too. I'm just like, whatever's happening in life is happening. And I'm just being who I am and not like creating these moments just because I feel like I have to have them, and I think that I'm just getting more comfortable in that space. And it's like, I didn't post for 2 weeks. You know why? I didn't have shit to I didn't have a picture. I didn't have this. I didn't, and it's just like, I'm on set for 16 hours a day. Sorry, I couldn't put an outfit on and go take a pic real quick. I didn't have time, but I'll get to it and then I'll post it.
That's real though, because I don't think people often think about or, understand. It's like we're being real, but also this is our job. And whatever your aesthetic is or whatever your brand is, you're thinking about that. Like it's like you when you go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like if at your job you gotta wear a collared shirt and some pants, then that's what you gotta wear. And then when you go home, you're not gonna wear that. And I think sometimes it's like that for entertainers, where sometimes we got, this is my job. This is what I'm presenting. And I don't really always want to give into that or do all of that.
It's true. Or sometimes I'm just not in the mood. Like I'm just not in the mood for it. So it just depends. But also I love that now when you look at Instagram and things, people are leaning more towards now. It's kind of what you said, like just being who they are in that moment. If it's a no hair, no makeup kind of thing, they're posting those pictures. If it's just a dump hanging at the house, like everything's not so perfect and like professional photographer and this and that. And people seem more drawn to it because you see everybody at the core is really the same, going through the same stuff. So it's not always glam and hair and makeup. Sometimes it's sweats and like it's whatever. And I think people gravitate to seeing a lot of that more now than they did before.
And I really do think it's a part of like being able to communicate that to your audience, right? Like I think we're in this stage, in this era with social media being such a big business and obviously entertainment industry just continuing to be like this lifestyle kind of thing. Everyone's trying to figure out how to like balance themselves within that. And so I'm curious for you, because I think you've done it really well in your life, where it's like you'll be real and you'll talk about situations, but at the same time, you still have this thing where it's like, my privacy is my privacy. And I think that's really important. I wonder how you've been able to like tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna talk about this to a certain degree, but then I'm also gonna make sure that people know that this is a boundary and this is not the space for that. How do you figure out how to dance that dance?
I think you just know. I think you just know like how much is too much. And my thing is, everybody always knows what to do until they're in the situation. Everybody could tell you, oh, you do this and you do that. And then when they're in the situation, it's a whole different ball game. So that's why I'm not open to tons of opinions and this and that and what people have to say, because everybody has everyone else's problems all figured out until they're in the situation. Then it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. But when you're telling somebody else what to do, it's the easiest thing in the world. So I kind of know the balance of still being me, like, what I've been through, and people being able to learn from my mistakes or learn from, how I dealt with heartache and pain and be there to support people. But at the same time, I'm going to give you only so much, because if I give you too much, then I'm opening myself up to too much opinions, too much criticism, too much this. And we deal with that every day. It doesn't matter what we do. 100 people gonna like it, 100 people gonna hate it. It's just the world that we live in.
And it's so true what you said, because it's also like I'm leaving myself open to exploitation, because there's a difference between me sharing what I want to share because it's going to help somebody get through, and then just having a fucking tea party with you, because we don't even need to do that.
That's it. That's it. And again, everybody's saying what they would do, and she needs to do this, and she should have did this, and then you looking at them and you like, well, why you not following that same advice and guidance that you free flowing giving to everybody else?
Okay, girl, always got the advice that they can't take.
Yes.
You also are an advocate. Obviously, you have the La Foundation 360. It's a program out here that's trying to make the world a better place. Tell me what your focus is. I mean, I know it's about helping young men get out of jail, but I would love to get into the details of how you guys are going about that.
So I started the program out of Rikers Island. It's called 360, like you said. It focuses on young men ages 18 to 21. So we're in Rikers every week doing like mentorship, life training, job training, just any skills that they need so that when they're released, they could get a job. They can be, a better member of society, a better family member, a better dad, a better boyfriend, a better husband, whatever it is. So we really try to teach them all of these skills and then help them get jobs and housing and clothing and anything they need when they get out. And you just find like a lot of times people really just need support and love and somebody to believe in them. I had a young kid come out of my program that just got a full scholarship to Columbia University. Like when you put people in the right places with the right resources and the right opportunities, anything could happen. It's just unfortunate that a lot of people that look like us don't have access to those opportunities and those resources. So unfortunately, they fall trapped to whatever their environment is or whatever the world that's around them is. But I'm really here to help in any way that I can. And it's amazing to see these young men come out of Rikers and do great things with their life and get great jobs and be productive members of our society. Like that brings me so much happiness and so much joy.
How did you get introduced to this? Like, what was your, was it, do you have any family that dealt with this? Or like, what was your entry point for wanting to focus on this in terms of giving back?
Just growing up and having family and friends, impacted by the criminal justice system and, being younger and feeling like, well, what am I going to do? Like the most I could do is go visit, maybe not even send a package. Like, what am I going to do? But then as my platform grew and my voice grew, I'm like, no, now I can do something. I'm in a position to really push for change. And it's something that I always wanted. And having someone close to me incarcerated as an adult hits different. Like, it's just like you want to help and you want to see like, you want to go in there and really use your voice for change. So I was just like, I'm not just going to sit around anymore. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. You can be passionate about a lot of things. This is my thing and where I really want to help. And the reason I did 18 to 21 is because a lot of those young men in the program remind me of my son. Like my son's 17. Yeah. So I talked to him the same way I would talk to Cayenne, and I could connect with them on that same level that I connect with Cayenne on. And you start realizing like all of our kids could be one bad decision, wrong place at the wrong time, hanging with the wrong crowd to try to fit in. They could end up in Rikers Island in a snap. I've seen it a million times. Great kids that end up there just because trying to be cool, trying to fit in, wrong place at the wrong time, whatever it is. And I would want someone to treat my kid with that same care and love and compassion that I try to treat the kids, in my program.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so happy that you're doing that and focusing on that. I think, it always is difficult when you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. I have so much, how can I give back? What can I do to actually, share, what I have and what I'm learning. And so that's important because these people need it. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the criminal justice system. Exactly. I know we had sparked on this, but I want to bring it back because obviously I have a son, I co-parent. You've spoken about the importance of friendship with your exes, with co-parenting. And obviously I have my own understanding of the importance of it, but I'd love to know from you, not only the importance of it, but how you can do it and how you can maintain it and kind of remove yourself from it, how you've done that for anybody that's listening or watching, because obviously it's not always the easiest.
It's not always the easiest, and every day is not going to be peaches and roses, and it's just not realistic. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that your child sees everything. You got to make it not about you and about them. You can't bring in your own personal about how you feel because they see everything and they're watching. And this is their example of what family looks like, what love looks like, what communicating looks like. They're looking at their mom and dad and seeing what that is. And I wouldn't want to set the wrong example for Cayenne when it comes to relationships or how you treat people or co-parenting or parents or anything. So I'm always mindful of that. So even when I get in my own feelings or I'm having a day and I don't want to be bothered with, the co-parenting thing, I have to remember it's not about me. It's the example that I'm setting,
that's right,
for my son. And it's hard enough to not have your parents together. All kids at some point, they want their parents to be together. That's what all kids want. So it's hard enough to have not been able to provide him with that. But if I could show him that we can still be friends and we can co-parent and we love you and the decisions we make are out of love for you, then I'm going to keep pushing that narrative forward because that's going to affect how he deals with relationships and people moving forward. So I always tell myself that.
Yeah, and I think the thing too when it comes to co-parenting is the fear, the concern of being friends or being cool is, you're trying so hard to make sure that there's a boundary line there. You however long, especially if you were married for years, then it's like, okay, how do I create this differentiation? And that's the fear that I think a lot of people have, where it's like, let me just cut it off dry. So when you're making that transition, like, what are the lines that you create that allow you to not slip into the same, like, well, we just together. And then also, we're not together, we're friends, and we just raising our child.
I mean, I think it's clear boundaries. Co-parenting is about the child. It's not about each other. Like, I'm not calling to say, hey, what you doing today? Let's just hang out and go to lunch. I'm calling to say, hey, Cayenne's getting picked up at this time. Are you picking him up? Am I picking him up? He got a game at this time. Like, it's about the child. It's not about, like, what we have going on and, like, just calling to see what you're up to today. Like, that's not the boundaries that we set, but other people, that might be the friendship. To me, the friendship for us is based on, our child. And I think that the person that, I think Mello, Cayenne's dad, is an amazing dad. And I would tell anybody that, an amazing dad. And I couldn't choose, a better dad for my son. And I sing all his praises when it comes to that. But as far as co-parenting, we're talking about Cayenne. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So you just have to figure out what your boundaries is, because I think it does get blurred when it becomes like, all right, well, what you doing tonight? Well, I'm coming to hang out with you. Or then it's like, this is not co-parenting. This is us trying to figure out what we got going on. That's a difference.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. It's definitely a thing, but it's always interesting to hear how people deal with it, because it's a journey, but the child does come first. And,
Of course. And everything takes time. You're not going to have it figured out in the first, month. It takes time. You got to figure out what works. There's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of bumps in the road. There's a lot of arguments, a lot of things that happen until it kind of smooths out. But eventually it always smooths out. But it doesn't happen like, you don't just get it right off the top. Like, okay, this is how it works. You're going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's all trial and error. And it kind of happens as you go. But the main thing is just to always keep the child at the center of it all. And the decisions that are made are always made on what's best for the child.
Yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that.
Of course.
Now, on the show, we always end with a little bit of game. And so I'd love to play a game with you. So basically, this is called Here For It or Not. Okay, I'm going to give you a list of things, and then you'll tell me whether you're here for them or not. Sound good?
Okay. All right.
Okay. Being brutally honest with your bestie. Here for it or not?
Here for it. I don't see any other way to be a best friend.
Ooh, so are we talking brutally honest, like, girl, that man don't like you? Or are we being brutally honest, like, girl, look, he tripping. I don't really fuck with him. You gotta let him go. Like, how brutally?
Brutally honest, like, this ain't for you. I'm your friend. I want you to be happy, but this is not the one. He is not giving me the vibes like he's really effing with you like that. It's all about the delivery. I'm saying the same thing you said. I just kind of softened it up a little bit.
Right, exactly. You made it feel like, okay, bitch, let's move on.
Exactly.
Participating in viral TikTok challenges. Here for it or not?
I'm here for it because I am. We always do it at TikTok. We always got something going on. It's fun. It's part of what everybody's doing. I think it's fun.
It's very fun, and y'all always be eating in them. I can't wait to do it with Leo when he get more coordinated, because he only like 18 months.
It's gonna be fun. And it's another way to just spend time together and bond. It keeps you young. It keeps you cool. You're not out the loop. It's like, it's good.
Posting your workout routines on social media. Here for it or not?
That depends. See, that depends. Because I don't really post when I'm at the gym, because I know the reason why. First of all, it's like all of a sudden you just posting like the squatting and like this and that. It's like, all right, we know what's going on. But then I love a thirst trap every once in a while. Like, everybody need a good thirst trap. So I'm not hating on it either. I don't know. Maybe I should try it.
I feel like whenever I post workout stuff, I'm definitely not looking cute. I'm always looking like crazy.
That's what I'm saying. When I'm in the gym, I'm not looking cute. Like, I'm in there like struggling, trying to get it done. I've never been in there like, oh, this is perfect for a pic. But I get why people do it. Also, I do look at when people post their workout stuff. I look at it. I'm like, what are they doing? All right, maybe I should try that. Like, I do look at it. But then it's also kind of obvious when it's like, oh, I know why they really. But I'm not mad at that either. Why not?
Right. Okay, long distance relationships. Here for it or not?
I'm here for it. I think that it shouldn't be like that forever, but some stuff starts as long distance. Like it's a big chance that you'll meet somebody that doesn't live in the same city or state that you live in. So what, you just gonna say F it and not give it a chance? I think it's okay to start there, but if it's getting serious, then you guys got to talk about, figuring it out. But I'm here for it, especially in the beginning. The world is a big place. You don't want to shut yourself off because they don't live in Brooklyn? Like, no.
And sometimes, let's be real, you need a space from them up.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes the long distance is good because I really don't want to see you every day.
And then you see each other. It feels like the honeymoon stage is really fun. Like, that's good.
Yeah. Couples matching outfits. Here for it or not?
See, I never did that, but the cancer in me wants to do that with somebody. Like, I want to go to Six Flags and have a matching outfit on because I always wanted to do that and I never did that before. So
I can totally see you eating that.
Yeah, I know it's cheesy, but I'm kind of here for it.
Period. Me too. I like a little cheesy moment. Okay, this is the last one. Flexing your success. Here for it or not?
I think there's a way you do it. I'm here for it in the right. You should be proud of yourself. You work hard. You should be proud. And if you're not going to cheer yourself on and be your own cheerleader, then who is? Like, you worked hard and you deserve that. I think there's just a way you do it where you're proud of yourself, but it doesn't feel like you're like, aha, or looking down on people who aren't there.
Exactly.
I think it's to where you're motivating people. Like, if I could do this, you could do it too. Like, I think that's the way to go about it.
I feel the exact same way because I do believe in it. Guys, I've worked years for this moment to see myself up there. I love a speech where you're just like, damn, I can't believe this happened.
We're doing this to motivate and bring up other people as well. So I think if you do it the right way, you're celebrating yourself, but you're celebrating other people as well.
Lala, all I have to say is, I know you're in your acting bag and I want that to keep up, but I'm really, I really want you to have a podcast and I want to hear you.
It's so funny. Everybody says that all the time.
Because you're good as hell at that. First of all, your voice sounds really good to listen to. Like, you could just listen to you talk. But then also the way what you be saying in the conversations, how it just flows, Miss Girl. You have so many gems that you be dropping. I love it.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that. It is something I'm thinking about, so I'll keep you posted on that.
Please, I'll be your first guest.
I will.
Thanks for coming to the show.
Of course, I will show up for you anytime, you know that, and I hope to see you soon. We got a lot to talk about, we got a lot to collaborate on, so soon. And if you need me, I'm a phone call away.
Period, because I do about the real shit. I really will.
I'm here for you always.
Lala is just a powerhouse, y'all. And I'm so inspired by her insight and wisdom and everything she had to say about the connections we make with people. And I'll always be rooting for her. And I hope you do too. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. But don't worry. Don't stress. I'll be back next time because it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke.